All right, so let's talk about how much does it cost to start a recruiting business, a staffing business. And here's the great part about it, not a whole lot. All right, so I'm going to dive into a couple of things here, but if you're thinking about starting your own recruiting business, here are some of the expenses in the beginning that you'll want to take into consideration. Basic stuff, right, guys? So getting your company incorporated with your state. It's going to cost you a few $100s. I know in Florida, I've done it a few times. I think I've spent no more than $300 to get incorporated through sunbiz.org. Pretty simple stuff. You want to get your federal tax ID number, which I don't think costs anything from my experience. You just fill that out. Guys, I'm not really an expert on how to start a business, like all the legalities behind that. I know more about recruiting and staffing and getting clients and getting candidates than I do actually starting a business. But I know starting a company, I've done it a few times, and it's really not that complicated. There's some smaller startup costs that are associated with that. Okay, so you have those costs with starting your company. Let's say, I don't know, under $500 right there. Then you're going to need an email. So, and a way to host it, I use G Suite, so Gmail for Business. I want to say I spend about less than $50 for that whole account, which I love. I love Gmail. I like Gmail so much. The reason why I like it is because this might sound crazy to you, but I'm one of those people where if you looked at my email on my iPhone, I've got like 700,000 that are still not deleted. That can drive people nuts. I get it. I often laugh with my friends when I'm at restaurants about it. But the reason why I never delete anything is because I keep all my emails. And there's been instances where I've had to go back and find an email from like a candidate or a client or something that came up from like years ago or months ago. And the beautiful thing about Gmail is it never, it keeps it on its server forever. And I can just type in the query box, like a keyword, and it'll bring up an email from literally like 10 years ago. And guys, believe me, that's happened to me on multiple occasions. And in business, it will happen to you. So that's why I love Gmail for that reason. Okay, so you have that cost. Then maybe you want a website, right? So let me minimize my face here. Here's my belief on websites, right? We do websites for our members at Recruitemy. We do it for $450. I have an IT admin, Jay, who is phenomenal at creating these. Here's a glimpse of a few of the websites that we have done for our members who just start out in recruiting. We've got medical niches, we've got IT, cybersecurity, agile, scrum masters, marijuana industry, freight brokerage, light industrial. Our members pretty much run the gamut with different recruiting niches. But just to give you an idea and a preview of the websites that we can create, if that's important to you, we do that for $450. If you're a member, that's kind of like your member pricing. Here's a cryptocurrency blockchain website. This one is renewable energy right here, a little military touch to it. So anyways, you get the idea, but these are all the websites that we have done. We've done plenty more for our members, and we can do it for you too. Here's my philosophy and take on websites. Do not let this stop you from moving forward. Okay, guys, websites aren't going to make you millions of dollars. I have a friend who literally does over $10 million with his business. It's not recruiting. It's a separate industry, has never had a website, if that tells you anything. So paralysis by analysis, don't get caught up in that. Move forward with your recruiting company, get it set up, get your federal tax ID number, and start prospecting, start trying to get clients, get candidates. I always believe in going after candidates first, but that's what I would do in the beginning, especially to save money and give you an idea of what it's going to cost you, right? So you've got the Gmail under $50. You've got startup costs, getting your company incorporated under $500, maybe a website for a few $100s, right? So right there, we're close to $1,000 in getting your recruiting business launched. Guys, work out of your home, for heaven's sake. You don't need to pay rent anywhere unless you're one of those people that just has extreme ADD and it's tough for you to be home. And I know there's people that, are married and have kids at the house, and it's just hard to concentrate on what they're doing every day. And when you start your recruiting company, you will need a pretty high level of focus and concentration and discipline. So I had an office for a long time, but I didn't just jump into an office with no money. I set a goal for myself to build revenue and make placements. And then I rent it like a WeWork type place in downtown Tampa. That worked out really well for me. I had my own office. It was enclosed with glass. had, silence there, which was good for me. And I could focus on what I was doing every day. I work out of my house now, but I travel a lot more. I don't work as much on my recruiting company like I used to. So it works for me really well. But I like bringing my laptop and going to coffee shops or to different, countries or states in the US and just travel and work. So anyways, guys, if you're just starting out though, work from home, save money with rent. All right. In addition to that, you're going to need a laptop or a desktop computer. You can even buy, refurbished ones or used ones on maybe eBay or Amazon. And you're going to need a cell phone, obviously, or a land phone. I don't know if people have land phones nowadays, but so you're going to have your cost there, right? Phone, computer. Outside of that, guys, there's really nothing else that you would need to start your recruiting business from a cost perspective. That's what's so great about recruiting is that it's so lucrative and the expenses are so low. It becomes a sellable business after a few years if you can really ramp up and get the residual income going. Now, for those of you that are considering jumping into like contract temp to hire staffing, then you're going to have a little bit more of a barrier to entry as well as more startup costs. You're going to need insurances, right? So workers' compensation, general liability. You're going to need a payroll company like ADP. By the way, I used ADP. I don't recommend them, unfortunately. There's payroll companies are a dime a dozen. Just do your research online and you're going to, have a cost for every employee that you place on the contract model. Insurances, depending on what niche you guys are in, if it's a riskier skill set, if someone's working in a warehouse with a forklift, or if you have technicians that are climbing ladders, those type of skill sets are going to be a little more expensive for you on the premium. I would say to budget anywhere from $2,500 up to about $5,000 in insurance premium in the beginning if you're going to dive right into contract staffing. My advice for people just starting out, get some direct hire placements like 3 to 5, and then repurpose or redistribute that profit into your insurance costs to start your contract to hire model. That's what I did. That's what I'd recommend. All right. In addition to that contract to hire model, you're going to have payroll costs too. And most importantly, guys, you're going to be operating like a bank. So you're going to need some money to front payroll for your W-2 employees that you're bringing onto your payroll, because these are going to be your employees that you're contracting out to your clients. So every Friday, you're going to have to meet payroll and pay, your employees. So let's say you get a work order, which is great in the first month or two, and you place 3 to 5 people. Let's say the pay rates, are $20 an hour. You guys do the math on a 40-hour work week. You have to come up with that $800 plus taxes for each person every week. And most likely your invoice payment terms to get paid by your client are probably going to be net 30. It's pretty standard in the industry. So there's a pretty big float there of 30 days. And let's face it, a lot of clients don't pay on time. So that net 30 could really be net 45 that you're looking at, that you're having cash out the door for 4 to 5 to 6 weeks and not receiving one penny in. So be conscious of that. Have a plan for that in place. Most folks need to get like a loan from the bank or a loan from a relative to cover that payroll. There's also factoring companies that I used when I first started like many moons ago. It served a purpose for me. I wouldn't recommend them, but factoring companies, you essentially sell your invoices and they would give you like 80% of the invoice on day one. You get paid that money, and they would collect your payments from your client. I'm not a big fan of that method, but you know what? Some people have to do it, and you have to do it in the beginning to launch your company. All right. So those are the costs for like the contract to hire model. Everything else, guys, it's really nominal as far as starting your recruiting business. I have people that I speak to that are like, yeah, I want to hire a salesperson, then a recruiter. And I'm like, whoa, put the brakes on. You don't need to hire anybody right now. Let's get you focused on building a candidate pipeline, making 3 to 5 placements. After 3 to 5 placements, you can start thinking about things you want to do, right? So I don't know, let's say your average placement is $15,000 or $20,000, right? So you do the math again. So now you're looking at, $100,000 that you just built into your company. I would redistribute those profits. If you want to hire a recruiter, that's great. If you're good at sales, maybe you're better at recruiting, so you want to hire a sales executive to go get the clients. But then you're looking at paying that person most likely a base salary, commissions, incentives. It's hard to find people nowadays who just want to work on commission. I love those kind of people. I was that kind of person. I still am that person. Nobody gives me a paycheck or a salary. And I prefer it that way. I don't want to owe anybody anything anymore. So I love having destiny in my own hands, controlling my own paycheck, but not everyone is that way, and that's okay. Right. So just keep that in mind that you're going to have salaries and, commissions to pay out. So maybe it's just best that you start this company on your own, set some short-term goals over the next 4, 6, 8 months where you want to be, and then kind of scale and grow the company from there. Hope that helps, guys. Have a great day.